Holy Church here. I'm just gonna talk about my day in the greatest city, in a pretty awesome city of Mexico City, and being a medical student. My day as a medical student, and as a second-year medical student, and yeah. Today I had microbiology. I had physiology and information biomedical. And yeah. In microbiology we talked about a type of bacteria that is within the Streptococcus. Streptococcus pyogenes. Basically, it's a bacteria that goes for the respiratory system. It has fun in the respiratory system. It's a gram-negative bacteria that is basically chain-like because of the strepta is basically chain. It's a chain gram-negative that goes for the respiratory system, and we were talking about how it could make like such diseases like pharyngitis, aka strep throat, inflammation of the pharynx, or amygdalitis. Basically, it's the pharynx and the amygdala are inflamed. That's when it gets worse. It could become, if it's not treated, it could become basically scarlet fever. Scarlet fever, where this area is inflamed. This, like the mouth and the nose area, are not. It's like that triangle of protection, but like your cheeks, you're basically, this area is inflamed. And yeah, so we were just talking about that. Talking about bacteria and how they can affect the body and the respiratory system, and do malformations in the face, because it goes for the respiratory system, but it also goes to the sinuses. That's why I said the pharyngitis and the scarlet fever, because they go for the sinuses as well. That how do they travel? And yeah, so physiology, we talked about basically the potential, the membrane's potential, but we also talked about the diffusion as well as the repose. Repose is basically when it's resting, when it's basically the equilibrium is at zero, where the forces chemical and the forces electrical basically are at zero. It's like a tug of war, and one side's trying to win out and trying to get that ribbon, but the other side's also doing this, trying to get that same goal, but they're not making progress. They're basically making it at one point. It's kind of like when you see two dogs doing tug of war, and they both want to get the best angle and get the best out of it, get the most out of that rope. Kind of. Or sort of like the game of tug of war, like where you don't want to get into the mud, but you want the other team to get into the mud. You don't want your team. Or kind of like in the soccer game, where like in my class we use the example of a soccer game where Messi, Ronaldo, and Kaká are basically the opposing team, and Pepe, Leo, and Sonata want to beat that team that is beating everybody in the 3-on-3 at the school, at school, and is becoming the champion. You want to be the champion. And yeah, it's kind of like that. And also we were using, it's basically linked to the equation of Ness. He quantified basically how the potential of rest, the potential, and how it is in the equilibrium, like the potential of equilibrium. And if it's not in equilibrium, it can actually do diffusion. And there is other actions like the molecular potential, Membrana's potential of action. And that was actually kind of cool to learn. It's like how in reality we are using it. Such as like when I'm living in San Francisco, my battery basically is not as strong as here in Mexico City. Because Mexico City, it's warmer, so it actually gets more, the battery can last longer because it's getting more of its temperature. Basically the constants is Fahrenheit. And there is some constants with the accuracy of Hertz. Fahrenheit is one of the constants, but temperature can change, and that's why in San Francisco, my battery goes away a lot quicker, because it's actually, even though it is warm, it is also colder than here in Mexico City. And yeah, that was actually cool to learn. I actually learned a lot. I've been learning a lot. And actually my classes are really interesting. I'm loving my second year. I love my second year. I love medicine in general. Yeah. Basically, next thing I did was I had information biomedical. We talked about how we process information. Basically, like our basically how knowledge is function. Like the first system is the reactionary. The second system is more like the more methodical, like where we analyze the objective, like analyzing a diagnosis. We suspect, like we were shown pictures of one we suspected was a person with Down syndrome, but we have to use the analytical side and test it.